Good evening and welcome to 12th Dimension Stroke Scottish Paranormal Podcast.
Evening, Andy.
Good evening, Christopher.
Evening, everyone.
Use your Sunday name, I think. So everyone good? You all right, Chris?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Andy. Yourself?
Yeah, glad it's Friday. Put it that way.
Yeah.
So
Happy
nice
days.
and chilled. Well, yeah, I'm glad it's Friday because I've finished work early and spent all day watching Skinwalker Ranch. So
I know we're here to talk about Skinwalker Ranch, but we can't avoid talking about the news the past week.
Yes. Yeah, because when you rang, was it Monday you rang me about
before the
the
press
White House
conference.
press at 6 p.m.
Yeah, so John Kirby done the press conference in the White House at 6 p.m. to start off with. So our phone just says, right,
Yeah.
watch the press
put it
conference.
and it's just like an empty chair for like 5 minutes. Then the Canadian Prime Minister come on, and you couldn't even hear what he was saying.
No, I mean, when John Kirby came on, when he obviously they didn't give much away at that press conference, but they still alluded to the UEP task force and things like that, and about what they were looking into and taking it quite serious. So that was no bad press conference in regards to what he'd said. But then obviously as time went on, like these things, the interesting thing is, right, which relates to Skinwalker Ranch, is a lot of this stuff wouldn't come. It probably wouldn't be happening in regards to the UAP task force and stuff like that if it wasn't for OSAP and Skinwalker Ranch, because the people who were involved in OSAP and ATIP were investigating with Bass and Skinwalker Ranch, and that's how it came around with obviously the Luis Elizondo. He was an ATIP obviously after it, and one of the guys who was in basically an OSAP and an ATIP, guy called Jeff Stratton. If you've read the book Skinwalkers at the Pentagon, he is Axelrod. His name's a pseudonym. So his name's Jeff Stratton. So he was one of the main guys in OSAP and one of the main guys in ATIP. Actually, Lou Elizondo's boss. So he basically went and got contracted with something else, and then after that, he was called back to actually form the UEP task force.
Oh, right, okay.
So that's the interesting thing. So it does relate back to Skinwalker Ranch. So this is all. Then obviously with them changing the settings, so they say the settings on the systems, and then started to pick up all these UEPs now and stuff, and that's when they've shot them down, shot down the Chinese balloon.
Did you hear what it said on the news tonight or today?
No, I missed it.
They've shot down 4 in total. The first one was the Chinese balloon, spy balloon, or whatever it was. The other 3 have not been identified.
I find that mad. They're still saying that for the fact that they've actually alluded to have they found any yet? Is that why they've not identified them? They're trying to say they've not found them yet, or have they found any?
Apparently, one just like shattered into little pieces, and there was nothing there. Nothing come out of it. But are they telling the truth?
One of the interesting ones that I'd seen, it was Marco Rubio. When he came out a briefing about it, and he basically said that 95, at the end of the actual interview, he said, well, 99% of what I see in that briefing, the public can see.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they're keeping that secret. So unless they've told them something else from what it is that they've found, or if they know what it is. I mean, so it is interesting. You know what I mean? So
what do you think? What's your opinion on it?
I don't know. I mean, they start off with obviously they're saying that it's no China's. I mean, I think they're saying it's no China's.
Yeah.
But they're still not actually
China admitted to the first one.
Yeah, they've got the big massive balloon.
Yeah, it was there, but it wasn't anything to do with the government. It was a private company.
But regardless of what these things are, I mean, if these things are or drones, balloons, or whatever. Regardless of that, they still can't whitewash everything with these, because it goes back centuries. Sorry, it goes back decades, obviously.
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't. This kind of account for every single account that's out there. So it's interesting to see. I kind of thought it was going to be a moment where it gives them an opportunity to come out and say, right, we've shot these down. This is what they are, and it outs everything. That's what I kind of thought was maybe going to happen, right?
Yeah.
I know that's wishful thinking, but I kind of thought maybe this is their way out without going back to the 70 years stuff.
Yeah.
And basically saying this is what we know now. The interesting thing is as well, the guy Jeff Stratton, when the UAP task force started, but only back to 2004. The only reason they went back there is because they had the actual data. They had the data they had during the OSAP and that related to all that time. So that's why they kind of put it to there. It was nothing. It seemed to be nothing. Basically sinister. Why didn't they go further back? And that was mainly because the data they knew they could work with.
Yeah.
Do
you think that then, like the government, suppose backtracking type in a kind of way, with them saying that no, they don't exist, and it's like this is their way of saying, well, yeah, UFOs do exist, but that's all we're saying. We can't tell you where they come from or what they're about.
Yeah.
Do you think it might be them kind of admitting it without actually saying UFOs exist, as in extraterrestrial vehicles?
They've kind of said that already in regards to there's things out there that don't know what they are.
Yeah.
But they're still drawing the line in the sand, but they're saying it's extraterrestrial. Still can't say that either.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it's a funny one. It really is. You know what I mean? It's frustrating, but we'll see where it goes from here. I mean, there is. I reckon there's pushback. There's people want it out within the government. There's people trying to still keep it within. And there's I think there's a bit of a power struggle there between the two, because you see the Marco Rubio interview. He was saying that because of these four objects, including the Chinese balloon, right, that they were going to set up an investigation about it, and he was saying you don't need to. There's already a task force looking at this.
Yeah.
So we put it to the scientists, give all that information to the scientists that are out there now, and let them do their work, rather than trying to do an internal investigation about it, because that's what it's set up for. And they say these objects, if they are, like, let's say for example, if it's a technical advancement in another nation, well, it's frightening in the fact. But he said in the briefings, what I've seen in the briefing, 99% of that the public can see. And so I don't know why they can't show that. So, so you can see a bit of pushback back and forth. So it's interesting.
Yeah, obviously there is something going on, but what they're telling us and whether it's the truth and everything else that goes along with that, that's another story altogether, isn't it?
Well, if you're following stuff on Twitter, where there's things where, obviously, the different shapes that came out, obviously, in the news as well. The cylindrical shape, that was the one over Canada, I think. There was one that was supposed to be a octagonal shaped object. I never got the shape of the other one.
I think that one was the Tic Tac, wasn't it?
I'm not sure.
I'm sure it is a Tic Tac, but I'm not 100%.
And then they were saying, we're the one got shot down in Alaska. There was people in Alaska in that area, and they're saying there's no activity going on up here. There's nothing. Yeah. You'd think you would see planes and that flying about and doing X, Y, and Z, but there was nothing happening.
Yeah, so this is what I struggle with, is they're saying that they shot these down. Nobody's witnessed them flying about other than the pilots or whoever, like traffic control, that have picked them up on radar. There's no video of them being shot down. And how many people got a mobile phone with a camera? Millions. Yeah. Someone must have seen something somewhere and filmed it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the strange thing. One of the most interesting things that I picked up for it all, right? And I might be totally way off here, right?
Yeah.
But one of the interesting things I picked up on is they use sidewinder missiles for it, right?
Yeah.
Right? So they never use guns, right? Which if it was a balloon, for example, they could easily just take it with a gun, but they say probably because of projectiles, did they want to shoot guns? But I didn't get that. Well, why fire a missile at it, right? So they fired a Sidewinder missile at it, right, and it took them all down. And what can he flash back in my memory? And I remembered when I was watching. If you're all in the chat, if you've seen Unidentified, I think most of the people in the field interested in the subject have seen Unidentified with Louisa Elizondo and Tom DeLong and stuff like that. One of the interesting things that I liked in that one of the episodes is when they went to Italy and they spoke to, can't remember the guy's name. I mean, I have got his name, but it escapes me. He was a colonel in the special forces or whatever else, and he oversaw a lot of the special operations. And when they had a lot of sightings in a place in Sicily, off the coast of Sicily, they were talking about the frequency. They found the frequency emanating from the sea. And they ended up, there's a lot of things happening in this time. There's like a frequency that was causing issues to technology in the area. And they found the frequency was emanating from the sea. And they said that there was a UFO spotted behind a helicopter. And it basically, you see a beam came out it and it shot down the helicopter, right?
Yeah.
The interesting thing that he said after that, they said, if you shoot them, your bullets will come back to you, or your projectile will go back to you. He goes, but he said, we found that if you shoot them with uranium-tipped missiles, you can take them down. How did and that was what was said. They didn't actually. They said that, and then Louisa Elizondo said, "I think you're far further ahead than we are, right?" And then you never heard nothing else going back to you. Again, this guy was like the guy. He was definitely kind of a colonel in the military. All that, and you can tell the guy they built shit in any sense, right?
Yeah.
So the interesting thing with that is, that flashback to that, why they're using Sidewinder missiles for these things, right? And then another thing flagged up to me, and I might be totally wrong with this, right? Because I was listening to a podcast about Jeff Stratton, and I'm sure Jeff Stratton now works as a private contractor now for Raytheon. Raytheon makes Sidewinder missiles.
Right.
Put 2 and 5 together and come up with like 17.
Well, there's a connection, isn't it?
I think there is. I mean, I might be wrong in that. I'm sure we listened to one of the podcasts I listened to recently with Jeremy Corbell that you see Jeff Stratton worked for Raytheon as a private contractor. Now they make Sidewinder missiles.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I'm not saying there's any connection there, right? But I just say this. I just kind of found this week him set up a UAP task force, getting contracted to do something else. So
like, look what I make. I'll show you how they work.
Use these ones. Use these ones. These will take them down.
Yeah, these are better. But then, so if and it is a big if, they have shut anything down, and it isn't from Earth, my guess, I'd put money on that they're just drones.
Yeah,
like unmanned craft of some sort.
Yeah. My kind of take on it was that if it's no from here, that it's some type of AI.
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence. So that's why you maybe see them, for example, around nuclear sites. That's why you see them at conflicts and stuff like that. And that's why you see them when there's any workup between nuclear material or there's like a military presence, large military presence, you see them. So it's almost like that if this kind of mechanized stuff comes together, then these things react or they're seen. That's kind of what I kind of take on some of the kind of smaller craft and things like that. Like there must be like some type of AI. I mean, if they are for somewhere else, if they're not PLCs or whatever, but that's kind of what I was thinking. And that's the only explanation when they talked about things. When you heard, like, I don't know if it was Louis Elizondo was talking about it, it was like other people were talking about like UFO baiting. So they were talking about generating certain frequencies that could potentially pull UFOs in, right? So if they're basically ETs or whatever, or extra dimensionals, I don't think they're going to be as daft they get pulled in with something. But if maybe something would trigger an AI to appear, because it's maybe putting it some type of frequency or some type of signature, nuclear signature that might attract them or whatever. I mean, because there has been talk in recent times about UFO baiting using certain frequencies. So that's you're not going to. It seems like some type of AI or something. That's what I kind of think.
Yeah.
I don't know. Might be totally
like a scouting vehicle or something, looking at what we're doing, what we're up to. Usually no good, but like keeping their eye on us.
Yeah, totally.
It's got to be. But like people have said in the chat, there is nothing online. There's no photos. You've only got the words from the pilots or the government or whoever else that's involved. But then, are they told to say that?
Yeah, and you even had
that's what you say. You stick to it.
You had Biden come on as well, and you kind of thought he was going to say something at the press conference, and it was he said a few things about it, and then
climbed in a shopping trolley and went rolled away.
It was rubbish. I mean, he said a few things, and he got a few questions off reporters, and he walked away, and then he kind of stammered back as if he was going to answer a few, then walked away again.
Surprised he turned up, to be honest.
So that's it. But interesting. I mean, I don't know. There's connections there, but I think it is totally interesting with the whole OSAP connection to this, because it does all link in.
But then it's just stopped. We had a week of every day something's been shot down, and now nothing.
Do you want one a day?
At least.
But the interesting thing as well is, they must shoot things down all the time.
Yeah,
right? There's been things in the past where there's been Russian MiGs or there's been Americans probably in some type of dogfight, shot down each other's plane. No one to admit to it for the fact of because a kind of incident or whatever. There's been things shot down through time, and you've never ever hear it. Why are they choosing to publicise it now? That's why I kind of thought this is a way to maybe out it or whatever. That's what I kind of thought.
Well, that's what.
Why they go publicising it?
Well, that's what I said before. It's like, is this their way of saying that they do exist without saying they're here, and they do? That's all I can put it down. Either that or they're just lying, just BS, innit?
I was at the kids' football watching Sky News on the briefing.
Oh yeah, because you said you was on your way to football, didn't you? Yeah. No, because I put it on because we sat having dinner. I was like 6:10. There's still nobody here. It's just like an empty chair at the White House. And then the Canadian president and prime minister, whatever he is, he turned up, and you couldn't even tell what he was saying. Sounded like he's in some sort of wind tunnel. But yeah.
Right, move on to Skinwalker.
Yes. Shall we?
Yeah.
Should we sack it off this week and talk something else? No, I'm only messing. I spent 2 days watching it. I've got everyone's name. Oh, well, I might as well tell you on air. So, in the second season, they brought a guy in. I won't say the name straight away. And I'm like, oh, I know that name. I'm sure I'm friends with him on Facebook. So grab my phone, scrolling through. Yeah. So I messaged him about coming on the show. He can't at the moment. He's got a few things going on, but he said message him every month, every couple of months, and he will eventually. He'll be able to sort some out and come on. So I want you to come on as well. Ryan Skinner, the investigator.
Right. Yeah, he was in a few,
Yeah, he's not in many. But when they brought that ex-copper, the ex-sheriff, the big guy, looks a bit like Colonel Saunders.
Yeah.
When he was saying what had gone on in the past, he came on with him. Yeah. So I was just thinking that if we got him, he could fill in, we could jump back to this, even if it's like 6 months down the line.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
He could fill in some of the blanks, because there are a lot of blanks in that show.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah, definitely.
So... But I spoke to him, and he's got a few things going on at the minute, but he said as soon as he's got that cleared and out of the way, he'd definitely come on. So it's all good.
That would be good. I mean, I want to talk to Eric Bard. That's who I want to talk to.
Yeah. Have you got any contact info on him?
I'll try. I don't know. I'll look into it and see. But I mean, I want to talk to him in regards to seeing what the kind of lowest cost setting would be for a half decent spectrum analyzer and some of the kind of tech that they've got.
Yeah.
So
ask him if you can borrow some of his. Sure, he won't mind.
So they start off with the first one is called Breaking Ground, and Dragon has been made the safety officer.
Yes. He didn't look very impressed with that, did he? Because he's like, no. I've got to agree to digging now. But the thing is, he has done, hasn't he? He's actually he was saying that to go any further, and no, we're not supposed to, but we need to start digging.
Mm-hmm.
And they kept getting Brandon to come in on his helicopter with his pilot brother. And they've all agreed to do it, haven't they?
Yeah. Before we got to that, I mean, to start off with, they noticed that there was a kind of whole pipe area, and there was water kind of disappearing in it. So the poured. So there's been rumours of maybe tunnels or cave systems or a base or something underneath Skinwalker, right? So they had found like a kind of hole type area.
It was just covered in brush, wasn't it?
Brush and bracken and stuff like that. They cleared it all out, and they noticed the water was kind of disappearing. So they poured.
No, before they cleared it, they poured water in, didn't they?
45,000 litres of water.
45,000 gallons.
Yeah.
It took them 3.5 hours to fill it.
Gallons.
Yeah. Took them about 3-4 hours to fill it, and it was empty in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then they put that yellow green dye in it as well, didn't they?
It never came out anywhere. So
no,
they kind of thought they would put it down. It was going to come out somewhere else.
Yeah.
So that's telling them somewhere the water's going somewhere. Because the thing with it as well, I know usually if you pour water into the ground, it's going to seep into the ground. But what they're trying to say is the ground is predominantly made of clay, so the clay will kind of hold the water. So with this 45,000 gallons going into the ground, it's going somewhere. It disappeared. Never came out anywhere else. Disappeared. So an interesting one. So that shows that there's potentially there is.
But then they cleared that, didn't they? And they started digging the clay out. Yeah. And the clay wasn't even like saturated. It was just a little, like you dig clay in your back garden or something. Mm-hmm. It's just like a little bit damp, just because it's like underground and it's cold. It wasn't like absolutely. They poured that much water in it. It should have been soaking.
Yeah,
it should have been water dripping off it, and it's like nothing. But saying that, how long after the water had drained did they then dig it? Was it the same day? Was it the day after? Because they don't tell you anything like that. They don't give you that amount of detail.
No, definitely. So during that dig as well, Caleb's phone started going crazy again. So someone hacked his phone.
Yeah, because they bypassed his password, didn't they?
Yeah.
And they're phoning and they're changing his settings.
It went by his password, it flew through that, went through all his apps, through all his pictures, started phoning the police.
Oh yeah, it was making emergency calls, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So they was under the impression that it was someone or something like trying to get help.
Yeah.
So it was. But I wrote all the names down, who they are and what they do. Who they are and what they do. So, who was it? Yeah, so it was Caleb Bench when his phone was going off. Then they brought, was it Casey Smith, Qual Tech Associates? He came in then, didn't he? Or was that not at that point?
Don't think at that point. The kind of, so the on the same one though, they seen a rectangular object at night. So Travis,
the sky.
Yeah, well, we start off with they seen something in the brush. They seen like a rectangular object, and they tried to chase it. And then he kind of put his flashlight on it, and he said it almost was like the light was flashing back at him.
Wasn't it
a
like a
mirror.
yellow box or
Yeah,
something?
but they seen that like a yellow kind of rectangle, and when it
Yeah,
flashes flashlight on it, they said it kind of
yeah,
flashed back up and was almost like it was a mirror or something reflective.
yeah.
And
You
then it
seen it?
disappeared. It kind of disappeared into the brush, and they couldn't
Yeah,
find
because
it.
they were at the camp base,
Yeah,
and that's when he said Travis said he'd seen it. Then they all went running off, and then it wasn't seen again. But it weren't even that far away from him. Was it like 25, 30 foot or something?
yeah, no, it was quite close. It was
Yeah.
close. Yeah. So the one where, so you've said as well. So at the same time, they seen that thing. They seen some type of stray kind of shooting star going across the sky.
Yes.
Which he found strange or whatever. Travis kind of found it strange, and that. And then,
sorry. Just go back. Can I just go back a little bit?
Yeah.
When what's he called? Security guy, Caleb. When his phone started going all AWire, that was when they started digging where they pull the water, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's when it was like in the clay part. Yeah, his phone was
as soon as
massive.
he started, and
His screen is smashed though, right? So you could just mistake that for his phone being knackered.
yeah, but he said he never done it anywhere else.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, it's done it to other people's phones as well on the ranch. It's done it to
did it to Eric's.
Yeah.
And who's the other guy? Was it Travis?
I think it was maybe Tom the Hampton.
The Tom Lewis.
Thomas.
Thomas Winterton.
Yes.
Superintendent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. But then, from then, that's when they started having all that UFO activity, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the night off that. They were up in the Mesa first, then came back down and had that near the camp. They went on to so they had Ryan Skinner come in.
Yes.
And they were talking about some petroglyphs up in the Mesa.
Oh yes.
They had it looked like they had star maps up in the Mesa.
Yeah,
I know they were talking about a star map in the Mesa and stuff like that. It looked like
because Travis was saying it looks like the different constellations.
Yeah. So they got an expert in to look at that. I think Ryan Skinner highlighted it because he was there and he'd seen them before.
I think I took a photo of that, but I could be completely wrong. Give me 1 second. Yeah, so I've took a photo, but I didn't upload it, so I'll just do it. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah. See
that one? I think that's a bit of a better picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when they were saying the bottom bit looked like the Mesa, I think that was just
yeah, that. I think that was just the way it.
Erosion.
That one there, where his finger is.
Yeah. So there was they said there was like a star constellations, and then they got a petroglyph expert, and he basically said that the one was like for a serpent, and the serpent was for going between two worlds. So it was almost like a portal between two worlds.
Was Alan Garfinkel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that's when. Yeah, because him and Ryan came in, didn't they, at the same time, pretty much. But then, so not a lot really happened after that. They kind of they'll do their experiments or the research, and then they'll just kind of stop and then move on to something else.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they spend enough time sticking to one experiment. If they don't get anything, they kind of oh, it's not working, we give up.
But still, that even when there is some stuff from that experiment, they don't go back to it. There's numerous times where there's things happen and you want to know what else have gleaned for that. But I mean, it's the one where obviously when the cow died,
Yeah.
When the cow died, they found it was stress-induced pneumonia.
Yeah.
When the cow died, and that's why it died. But then you'll find that the interesting things. I'm going to jump a wee bit further, so we're talking about that. But they mentioned it in
when they go back to it a year later.
They can see, so they go back to it, and it was basically the cow died of stress-induced pneumonia. So it was basically stress-induced, and it killed it. So that area on the homestead, so they had tags on all the cows to see where they went to through the whole ranch. This is kind of a wee bit further on, but I'm just talking about it now because it's related to what we're talking about. And there's that bit of pasture, which isn't that big an area, where the cows don't go.
No.
They don't
but
go
then nothing. So while that cow was there, nothing no other animals went in to eat the carcass.
Yeah, that's it as well. Yeah, so
there was not even no flies on it, no maggots, nothing. There's no.
So what they did is, they kind of found that might be the case with doing a chemical analysis yet, and they maybe find something, the chemical or something like that might that might stop predators or other animals eating away at it. But they've done all the tests on it, and there was nothing.
Yeah, but there's nothing like it didn't decompose or anything, did it?
No. But the interesting thing in the same episode is when they got Junior Hicks. So we spoke about Junior Hicks last week.
Yeah.
I didn't know his name then, couldn't remember his name then, but he was the school teacher who ended up collating all the UFO reports for decades.
Yeah.
And he's dead now, but I had his family there.
His son and his son's kids, wasn't it?
Yeah, and so they were talking about the NEUs go with them during investigations, and they did. And they went, and one of them seen, going back, this is maybe like, was it the 70s maybe, or the 80s, even back in the day, when they went there with them, and they seen the cow obviously had the eye socket removed, it had the rectum kind of caught out as well and taken away.
Yeah, everything had been
seen all that. They seen all that. But that was the thing, so they got the test back on the cow that had died, because obviously it was a year later. No animals had tried to eat it or basically eat away at it, pick away at it, or anything. There was nothing on it. So they'd done all the chemical analysis here as well, and there was nothing found. Nothing found. There was nothing found untoward in it. So it's strange at the fact that that none of them did it. So that was a kind of other odd one. I mean, that area where the cow died, I found that interesting as we go on through the episodes. The look at all the locations. It's like a kind of heat map of where the cows go, basically, all over the ranch. And you see them congregating in one section, obviously, where they get fed, and the most bit they are, and then they'll go out to pasture, sometimes come back and stuff. But that one section where that cow died, it only looked like an area of maybe 30 or 40 square meters or something like that. And it was like, there was
but it was just
nothing there at all.
It's just that bottom corner of it, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it's strange. But do you remember the bit where, just moving on to another bit, where Eric, they was getting some sort of hacking going on to the Wi-Fi. It actually kicked him out of his own Wi-Fi.
Yeah. So
and there's loads of energy spikes going on across the ridge.
So because I think they were in the office and Tom came in, and Tom had been kicked off his Wi-Fi, and it basically said there was someone trying to hack them, and it was that signal. It was that signal again they were getting. The spectral analyzer. So basically, the signal was like blanking out everything right across the board. So that's when they were trying to look at where the signal's coming from.
Yes.
And it seems to be sometimes it seems to move the signal, or be up for above, or be for below. I mean, that's it, and it's like it's a mad one that. We go more into the signal as we go on, and that's the interesting thing, because when the BAS team were there, and OSAP, they did a lot to do with that as well, about the RF signals. And as time goes on as well, with that same signal, so it starts off with that. Then they look more into it when the signal appears again, and Tom Winterton starts feeling ill, right? Starts feeling
Oh
ill.
yeah, because he has to get out, doesn't he?
And I can totally attest to this, right? Because if I'm personally, I'll be electro sensitive, if I'm in amongst like Wi-Fi and things like that for a prolonged use or a prolonged bit of time, it makes me feel ill. It basically does stuff where it gives me migraines, it gives me rashes in my face and stuff like that. It's just, it's horrendous. And I can know straight away. I mean, that's what he's experiencing, that type of thing, because of the RF radiation. So then, so he leaves, right? He leaves, and they're still trying to triangulate it and look at it. Travis is in his trailer, and he starts getting memory loss. He's starting, no memory loss, but he's trying to talk to Eric Bard, right? During it, and they're looking at the spectrum, trying to triangulate where it's coming from, just blanking out everything. It's like they're getting blasted by RF radiation, right?
Brain fog,
or
isn't it?
EMF radiation, right? So the whole brain fog thing, I can attribute to that. I'm going a slight tangent, right? Where so when I worked in a college before, right? When I had this condition, I tried to limit what I was working with, right? So I didn't have Wi-Fi in my workshop. I had other stuff. I came in from the summer holidays and working away, and I kept having like memory loss, like extreme memory loss. I mean, it'd be like for 20 seconds you'd be sitting like that. What am I doing here? What am I doing? Right?
Yeah.
And then you'd come to again, right? And I ended up, I phoned the IT guys to find out if they'd changed anything during the summer. And they put a mini mobile phone base station down in the lower corridor where I worked. And it was causing me to have like, it was almost like brain fog, stroke, memory loss for like just small bits of time. And when they turned it off, it went away. It just went away like totally like that. It was mad, like. But the guys, he said that they knew about it, and he kind of put this technology quite far away from me. But I was quite. But I can attribute that because it does give you short-term memory loss with that type of radiation and stuff like that. So it's interesting where. But the interesting thing where it is though, it seems to actually move, right, and it seems to target people, that certain type of radiation. It's not that it's like, look at the spectrum as blanking it right across, but like Travis is getting like hit with it and he's feeling it, but Dragon's next to him and he's not feeling it.
Yeah, he's stuck like about gap like that between them, isn't it?
So what he ends up doing is he goes into the silo, the silo is like a kind of steel kind of round area where I think it just contain tools and stuff on it now, but the silos usually contain like grain and all that. But it creates, because it's all steel encased round, it's like a Faraday cage.
Yeah.
So you go into that and then he feels better again, which is totally mad. So it's mad how they're getting targeted with some kind of paranormal phenomena, and it's like EMF radiation or RF radiation or whatever it is. It's a mad one.
I know, it's just because he didn't have anything going on there for about, it was about 7 years, but then there was no one really living on the ranch, was there? Because Fugal bought it, but then didn't really do anything for ages.
Who was this, sorry?
When Fugal bought it off Bigelow, he just bought it after they'd done everything that they wanted to do, and even the government they give up partway through.
Well, they say the activity dropped on the ranch, so they say the activity had dropped towards the end of the kind of bass time or OSAP time on the ranch, and then he sold it, and then as soon as Brandon Fugal kind of bought it over, they started having experiences quite quickly.
It's once he started messing with the ground, wasn't it? Whenever he started digging, well, that's when Dragon kept having his panic attacks.
Don't dig! Don't dig!
Don't say that word. We're not digging. I'll tell me boss.
I was really wanting to take a picture of his face.
Yeah.
when he got told he was a safety officer about the digging,
he's a great. Yeah, but I did take some photos today while I was watching it. So this first one. So this is while they've been doing this is only first and second season, so it's like over a 2-year period. So this picture is where while they've been there doing their research, this is all the anomalies, orbs, UFOs, whatever you want to call them, in the sky. So they're all the different ones. I think, from what I can gather, they've just put them all together and just stuck them up. So they've got all the different images and just put them all onto one picture. So what, 3? So there's 12 on there, and they're just the ones that they've seen during the day. That's not including the ones at night.
Yeah.
So there's about another 7 or 8 what they've seen in the evening.
Yeah, because the ones just appear during the day, then they'll kind of disappear again.
Yeah.
And stuff. One of the interesting things that links into another bit further on is we mentioned there that when the Junior Hicks guy was up and he was investigating the ranch back in the day about the cattle mutilations and stuff, they also experienced the a compass spinning.
Oh yeah, he had the proper old school compass, wasn't it?
Compass spinning. And so the daughter witnessed that as well, because the daughter said that she witnessed the actual mutilated cow, and she also witnessed the actual compass spinning as well. And then somebody else more recently, further on, we'll talk about through a wee bit about the guy with the magnetometer, when he's doing all the magnetic readings. Can they say it?
Oh yeah.
His normal compass spins as well at a certain location, and he was talking about that. But aye, so it's a mad one, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But then they brought Bigelow's nephew. He came. No, he lived on there.
It was Sherman.
Was it? Sherman. Yes.
The nephew Sherman. His name was.
I did write it down, but I've lost that bit of paper.
Got it somewhere. I'm sure it's something Walls.
He lived on there when he was about 6, 7 year old, and he was there for about 4 years.
Yeah, the interesting thing with him is he highlighted all the places where they have experiences in now. So he says this bit here with the mesa, this bit here, like obviously the triangle area and stuff, is where they had a lot of their excitings, and he says this is where we've seen a portal open. So the guy he hadn't been on the ranch for about 20 or 30 years, so he must have been on the ranch.
30 years, wasn't it?
Yeah, so he was on the ranch, he was quite young, but he said him and his uncle seen. He started off with a story with the dogs. So they seen a blue orb.
Oh yeah,
bounce down the mesa.
Yeah, it was that blue orb, wasn't it?
Yeah, and the dogs were barking at it, and they talked about this the other week that they ran away after it. He had them yelping, and the 3 dogs were all dead. They're all compressed. It looked like something had burnt a circle round about them, but then crushed them in the middle.
Yeah, because they said to him, he went, "Oh, was that what you was told?" He went, "No, I was there. I seen it.
Yeah,
I was with him when it was all going on." He was like, "Oh, you actually witnessed it." It's like, everything I'm telling you, they're not stories from other people. I was there at the time.
Yeah,
because he was a bit iffy, wasn't he, about going back?
Yeah, that's.
He wanted to go back for a bit, but he was like, he just kept putting it off, but then he just caved in, I think, and decided to do it. Probably threw some money to him as well, but
it's some cash.
Yeah, I bet it was, But he did seem genuine.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. So he's seen that. They said they seen a portal open up, something come through, and then it disappear.
Yes.
And then they say that it was almost like it was scouting the top of the trees, and then it disappeared, and the portal closed. And where was the portal? Right above the triangle area. The area where they triangulated. So they triangulated other RF to get this point a mile above the triangle area, and that's where they say that the signal was coming through in the triangulated the once before, and that's where people keep having the experiences in regards to seeing craft coming through like a portal type thing. And it was funny because he kind of highlighted all that as well without kind of talking to them.
Well, when they were doing their experiments, or when they had the camp base going on, when they seen that yellow rectangle, didn't they say, because they had all the different imaging cameras going on, even though they couldn't see it, it was showing that there was something there. It's like the temperature and the energy completely changed, and they think it was some sort of portal that had opened, but they couldn't see it. They stood like 2 foot away from wherever this thing was going, but
Or was
no
this
one could.
just the thermal cameras?
Yes, I'm just
Aye.
trying to think because Eric had it all on his big setup and what have you.
Yeah,
Because
so
they were
they
going
go,
back
so,
watching it,
yeah,
and it all went like where all the so they were that side where all the trees were in the middle. It all went like purple and blue, then like red around the base of it.
yeah. So they had the aerial the rabbi in, and he was doing
Oh yeah, when he was doing
a
the
ritual. The
the
ritual he was
spells and
doing
what have you.
was to open a portal. So he kind of done this ritual. They had all the kind of technology, thermal cameras, night vision, everything. And then as soon as they done the ritual, the temperature
Oh
totally changed at
yeah,
Homestead 2, where it ended up right in the centre of the homestead was like a right cold spot, like an extreme cold spot, to the point where it was 20 degrees lower at Homestead 2 than it was just above it or at the side there.
yes.
So, and then they'd seen something. So I think Tom Winterton and Caleb had seen something. They tried to track something and didn't find it. They seen
Oh,
like
was
a
that the light in the kitchen?
yeah, and then it was like so they seen
It's like
something.
an
They
orb,
find it.
wasn't it? It's like a
Yeah.
yellow or red light, and they
I don't
both
know.
went.
I think that was maybe just a light in the distance, but they see that he said that he seen something move or he seen a light, but I don't think that was the
Right.
same
See, I
light.
thought that was a reflection of something.
Yeah,
If
no,
they're
because there was a
using
light.
IR cameras, you're going to get a red beam, red bounce back, aren't you?
There was a light further on. I don't think that was it. It was looking at something else. But that happened with that. So the temperature total changed with the rabbi's ritual that was going to
Yeah.
go over a portal. So what they've done is as well, they've done it again and they've done the recording of the ritual. So they had the recording of the rabbi,
Yes.
they had the thermal cameras on, they've done the ritual again at Homestead 2, just with the audio yet, and then the temperature changed again into this. So they said it like a temperature kind of vortex where the centre of it at Homestead 2 was again like really cold, and they had seen something again where they chased it. Tom
Yes.
Winterman described it as a 6 foot mass that kind of dissipated. But
Yeah.
like they were chasing something. I mean, they could see it, but then it just disappeared. It was like, but they didn't really give a description of it. He just said it was like a 6 foot mass. I was kind of following it. I could see the middle of it. Then it dissipated at the sides, and it would move to the side. And then he heard somebody say, "Look, it's in there. It's in the bush." But they never said what else they'd seen.
No.
And then but from that, they ended up they went back to the command centre, and when Eric obviously looks through all the tapes and stuff and all
Yeah,
the
because
all
it's
the
going
tapes,
for all
all
the
the
paper
video,
that they
they
picked up on
seen
it.
they slowed it right down. They could see when the temperature inversion happened at this bit. They seen a black ball type thing.
Oh, it moved across, didn't it?
Move across the grass. But if that was an animal, it would be red because it would be hot.
Yeah,
It would show up hot. So this thing was like dark. It was like a dark blue or something. So whatever that was, it wasn't an animal. But you definitely seen this thing moving about, and then it shot off.
Yeah. Just going back again, I just remembered something else. So when that Alan Garfinkel come on, the archaeologist, there was him, Ryan, and I think it was Travis, so that might have been Eric, and there was all chatting, and then he started feeling like they had to grab hold of him because he was going to hit the deck.
Yeah.
He went all faint, didn't he? So that looked a bit staged to me, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't. I know there's all weird stuff going on there, but that just kind of like. Do you remember when you ever watch I'm a Celebrity, and that woman fainted because she didn't want to do the task? It really, King Me Keith. It just reminded me of that. Like, how pathetic was that?
Yeah.
It's like he just went, ah. So because Joe's just put up, do you believe all that you've seen in season 1 and 2? So some of it that they've caught on the actual cameraman's camera, yes. Like when the UFO was above the tree when the cow died, and when all the strange stuff's going on, and they look back at the video and they can see stuff in the sky. But then there is one, I think it was on episode 7. Is either second to last. Is either episode 8 or 9. When the one with the rockets, but we'll get to that.
Oh, that's
in a
bit. 9. 9's the one with the rockets. That's at the end.
Oh, is it? Right, yeah. So when they're doing the rocket, there's like 3 or 4 things that happen while they're setting them off.
Yeah.
And that can't be made up because of how it is.
Yeah.
I believe that that's real.
I do think. Sorry, on you go.
No, it's right. Go on.
I do think there's things on it that I do believe in it, and I don't think I wouldn't say like tail bull, you know what I mean? But I think there can sometimes be putting in a crazy explanation for something. You know what I mean? Like so a prime example, going on with this, when they do a bit of digging on the ranch, eventually, and dragging shit in his cell and stuff like that. And so they eventually do a bit of digging on the ranch at this one bit.
Don't he go to another state while they do the digging and come back later?
The dig, and what is it they find in the dig? Was
this the last dig?
Yeah. So the dig at the triangle area, right? I'm not ordered here, so it's what is it they find? Galsenite. Is it galsenite?
Oh yeah. So when Travis
the thing is, they find in galsenite, and then when they do the analysis on galsenite, and it's got all the different minerals in it.
Yeah, what they use for building aircraft.
Yeah, I know, but like the thing is, you could there's probably somebody with another argument would say, well, that's all the minerals you probably find in the components that would build that.
Yeah, they're in the ground anyway.
But that's the thing. So when they're finding galsenite and they're looking through it, and then they do an analysis on it, and it's got like all the different
different metals
and all that through it and stuff. And then Travis turns and says, well, if you crushed up a space rocket or spaceships or your modern day fighter jets and stuff like that, crushed them up,
that's what you'd
find. That's the type of material you get. And I can remember in it to see Eric's face going, right?
Yeah, because obviously all that comes out of the ground anyway.
I mean,
what they
there's
mine.
probably a totally plausible explanation for that, like the galsenite, because the guys who were drilling knew it was galsenite, or they said it's probably galsenite. But the thing is, that's the type of thing that it's jumping to the type of conclusions and coming out with these statements when it's probably is something mundane. But like if you crushed up space rockets and spaceships and stuff like that, that's the type of material you'd find. Like what? Yeah. Really?
Then you peel it back, it says Coca-Cola on the back.
So there is things that happen on it. I mean, there are definitely things that go on there and that I do believe. But I do think there's a wee bit of keeping it going for the show type thing.
Yeah.
Or jumping to like a crazy conclusion or an explanation rather than just saying, right, well, that's just a natural kind of thing you'd be able to find or whatever.
Because that's what they tend to do. They jump to something, say it could be this, and this, and then they'll stop, and then they'll go to the next thing, and they don't give you any more information on that.
Yeah.
And then when it does come back on, it's just a repeat of what that bit of clip of the film. There's no new evidence or updates to it.
So quite early on in that, they get John Alexander on. So John Alexander worked for OSAP and worked for Bass for a good number of years on the ranch.
Yeah.
So his take on it was, so if you don't know who John Alexander was, I'm sure most in the chat will probably know who he is, right? But John Alexander has been involved in a lot of kind of things like this. If you look through some of the remote viewing stuff as well, he was involved in a bit of that as well, the remote viewing programs. No in regards to, there is some mention there when, if you read Morehouse's books and stuff on remote viewing, and so he's been involved in kind of stuff like this, right, in regards to remote viewing, and then obviously he's involved in Skinwalker Ranch. One of the interesting things with John Alexander as well is, in the mid-80s, if you probably know about the Wilson documents and all that kind of stuff that's getting talked about all the time on Twitter for the last year or whatever. Well, the Wilson document basically was that was one where Eric, what's his name again? Physicist.
Oh, Eric Winterton.
No, not to do with Skinwalker Ranch.
Oh,
in fact, he was to do with Skinwalker Ranch actually as well. But what was his name? Well, Admiral Wilson had discussed a thing called the program. So he was trying to basically within the government trying to find out about crash retrieval program, right?
Yeah.
And basically relayed this kind of information, and it was found in whose effects was it? Somebody's effects escapes me now. Anyway, they had this document basically relaying that there was this kind of working group, right? It was talking about the program anyway, right? Where the guy got shut down about talking about the crash retrieval program. Then other documents in the Admiral Wilson kind of notes refer to something else called the Advanced Physics Working Group, right? And there's other documents related to that as well, the minutes for that, which actually was in mid-80s. And John Alexander was in that. And it was like people from Lockheed Martin, people from MacArthur Douglas, and basically people from every different kind of agency. And they were talking about UAPs then. They were talking about abductions then. This is mid-80s. They were talking about like tracking them. They were talking about basically abductions. They were talking about remote viewing. They were talking about all these different things, how they can source it and that, and how they can get it for industry and stuff as well. And they're interesting. Like, I mean, if you've not read them, I mean, go and read them. I mean, because the actual kind of minutes for it is mental, and they look like they're real. They're no like thing, and that's what I'm saying. So John Alexander's been involved in that back in the day. He was even unidentified as well with Elizondo. I think they've done a wee session with him as well. Interesting stuff though. But he's on it as well. So he basically his take on it. It's a portal. That's what he says.
Yeah. Well, that's what they was all saying, wasn't it? It's some kind of portal that's being opened and closed pretty much as and when required. But I don't know. Should we take a break? Because we're on the hour mark.
Yeah, if you want,
Yeah? Is that all right? So, if you do a break now, and then there's a couple of questions from Joe. I think she's only asking the questions to cause trouble. So, right, we'll have a quick break when I can find it. No, it won't, because it's not there. Right, give me 1 minute. I'm looking in the wrong bit. Right, 1 second. Yeah, we'll do the questions after that, and then we can talk about other stuff as well if you want, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. There we go. Right, we shall go for a break. So see you in 5 minutes.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
And we are back. Oh, that was perfect timing, that break. I think it should might make it a little bit longer just to annoy everyone.
Was that time for a quick amaretto?
Oh, I wish. Have you seen what I've got left? A little tiny bit. It's not even fumes. I'll have to go shopping tomorrow. Oh, man.
So one of the things we kind of missed when we were talking about Brian Skinner. So Brian Skinner took so Chris Dorrit was the police officer who brought that was the guy named like Colonel Sanders. So so he knew the people before the Shermans. The people like the family. It was within the family since the early 1900s. And but I mean, he knew the couple who were there. It was like Kane, Edith, can't remember the second name in that. But what he basically, the guy had said to him that there was alien activity on the ranch.
Yes.
And he told him not to tell anybody. That's what he said. And it's strange at that kind of time, because that was like well before the Shermans and stuff. But one of the things that he did say is the same type of thing happened with the bulls or heifers. Is when it happened. The Shermans. Yeah. So they couldn't find 3 heifers, and they found them in a barn. The barn was locked, and they were lying on their sides, stacked on their sides.
Stacked up on top of each other, weren't they?
Yeah. And they looked dead. They said they looked dead. And then he poured water over the top of one of them, and then all kind of started to kind of move and get up and stuff.
Because didn't they think they were dead? And then they dropped a bit of water on one, and it like come out of a trance or something.
Yeah. So the exact same happened years later with the Shermans.
Right.
With the Bass and Nids team with and stuff. But they too getting locked inside that corral, that kind of wee space in the corral inside that porta cabin type thing. And they were like comatose.
Yeah. But wasn't it locked from the inside as well?
I don't know if it was locked from the inside, but it was locked, or it wasn't accessible. And they said that they could tell where nobody had been in there because there was all the dust was there was cobwebs on it and all that kind of stuff. So they couldn't. The doors weren't even open to get them in.
Yeah,
which was.
But it's virtually impossible to do that.
You couldn't get one of the bulls in the present day one with the Shermans. They said the bulls you couldn't get one of them in there with a few men, let alone like 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah,
which is mad.
I know. Yeah, I for some reason didn't write that one down. I think I was trying to get through it. Before 8 o'clock tonight. So it's like just skipping the boring bits. But so one of the questions in the chat is from Jo. Like I said, she's just causing trouble. Why, after all this research, is there no solid proof of what's been seen and said? The thing is, there is proof, and there is like video evidence and photos and all that. Just we're not allowed to see it. It belongs to Bigelow. It belongs to the government. He signed the Official Secrets Act. It's either classified. There's no access to it. There's loads of stuff, but they're not willing to share what they've discovered. So what he did all this with NIDS and everything else, and once he got the proof, because he bought it knowing what was going on. He bought it for that reason. He was a billionaire when he bought it off the Shermans. So once he'd done everything that he wanted to do, that's when he sold it on. It's like, well, I've been there, I've done it, I've got all the evidence I need, don't need it anymore.
I think as well that it was down to trying to get probably I think the activity dropped a bit, and then it was trying to get funding because they were trying to get funding through Homeland Security. So because the OSAP project was going to end, and they were looking how to carry it on, because some of these projects maybe sometimes go through different agencies, and they were trying to get it to go through Homeland Security. But Homeland Security, they were interested in it. But the fact that Homeland Security were quite new, they didn't want to touch it in case they got tabbed with, I don't know, just with the stigma. And being new as well, because when they thought, because they were new in the block in regards to like all the kind of other three-letter agencies, they didn't want to kind of touch it. But they were really interested because there was a few people that kind of, there was other kind of experiences that happened as well, and they went and done presentations to people in Homeland Security and stuff about it. But the activity kind of died down, and then that's when they sold it after that anyway.
But why would the government go in with unlimited funding to do all this work with a private company to get all this information and spend God knows how many millions doing it to then not have any evidence?
22 million.
Is that what it was?
That was only for like the OSAP, but that's a drop in the ocean compared to what they used to spend in the budgets.
Yeah,
that's a lot to spend on
that
like
pocket change.
But what they did as well, like they had MUFON working for BAS as well, because they actually had they used MUFON to gather data for them as well.
Right.
And then they got data from MUFON, they got data from like the Blue Book files, Grudge files, Sign files, all of them. Every other actually ones in the UK, Canada, and they've got this massive data collection, right? They've got a massive data collection that OSAP made up as well, all these different categories, like UFO and paranormal things that happen and how they can intertwine and stuff. And it's all electronic. They had like 10 people alone just working on making that, like constantly. That's quite an interesting part as well. But there is evidence. I mean, there was like some of the stuff that did happen. I mean, it did happen to people on it, and there was multiple people seen it.
Yeah.
For example, the guy I spoke about earlier on, Jeff Stratton, his name is, and when you've heard maybe things in the book, for example, Skinwalkers at the Pentagon, they refer to a guy called Axelrod. It's a pseudonym, and that's him, right?
Yeah.
One of the stories from him is, I think I alluded to last week or week before, is the hitchhiker effect. So he, when he basically was back where he stayed, it was actually further away from, obviously, it was like 2,000 miles from Skinwalker Ranch, and his kids had seen things in his room, or in the room. It was like they'd seen orbs and stuff like that, and then they'd eventually seen this bipedal wolf out back, and then it kept showing up, and then it eventually kind of ran away and stuff like that. And there was multiple kind of hitchhiker events where
because with that bipedal wolf, at first, didn't they think it was some sort of hyena? Was that the one?
No, there's like the one they'd seen. It was like they'd seen a bipedal wolf looking at them from the outside. This was
right. Okay.
This was on the ranch. This was like 2,000 miles away. This was like the hitchhiker effect. So so in Skinwalkers at the Pentagon, they treat it as almost like it's like a virus, because when you come at the ranch, you can spread it to your family or groups of people, and they found as well that it could also, because they documented loads of this with the people who were working it, and they found that it would also trigger illnesses in people, immune deficiencies and stuff like that, which is quite mad. I mean, but all this kind of stuff, they found it, and there was things where as well, with the one I mentioned as well, but the orb had went in somebody's shoulder and then came out the other side and ended up they got cancer, or a certain type of cancer. It didn't metastasize, but it was like all these type of things were kind of happening. But there's a lot of it's not kind of out there. You know what I mean? But there is evidence there.
Yeah, it's. I'll just quickly jump on this one from Joe. Exactly. We don't know there is proof. We're just told. But then that's like anything. Like we was talking about these UFOs or UAPs that have been shot down last week.
True.
We haven't got any proof. We're told that they've shot these down. We're told that they've had contact with these aliens. We're told that Roswell was a real thing. We kind of been told, but not been told about Area 51 and S4, Hangar 4, or whatever it is. So there's loads of stuff we're kind of told about, but we've never, ever been shown any proof. So we can say that about, I'd say, 90% of the stuff that goes on.
The thing is, as well, is witness testimony. Apart from the Bass stuff and even the OSAP stuff and the Skinwalker Ranch stuff, you take that area, for example, the amount of witness testimony, people seeing things, regardless if you've got a bit of proof there, right? And I know people want to have a bit of proof there. Proof could be obviously seeing pictures of UFOs and stuff like that, but the amount of witness testimony as people are seeing within that kind of area, you know, there's kind of something going on. You know what I mean? So,
but it's like, sorry, I was just going to say, it's like I've no proof that I seen a pterodactyl. I've no photos, I've no videos. I know that I've seen it. So does that mean I didn't see it?
No. I mean, that's the thing. It's like,
but it's like, I'm not having to go at anyone. I'm just like,
that's hard to, as I was saying, is that
explaining it the best way.
It's like find proof. It's quite hard to find proof. That's it. It could be anything. I mean,
yeah. I know with the TV shows, a lot of people say they're in it for the money, but a lot of them don't actually make any money from doing it. The only people that make the money are the production companies or the channels that are showing it. But it's hard. It is really difficult. But there is, if you watch it, there is proof of certain stuff going on. You don't know if it's fabricated or if it's genuine. Because it's not, obviously it's edited, it's not live, it's just bit here and bit there and it's all put together. So, I don't know. I don't know if it's true. I'd like to believe there's something going on there.
The main thing I want to take for that show is it's like, obviously they've got all these different accounts happening throughout the years and you've got the shows going on, right? They've got money now to fund into experiments and stuff like that. So if you watch this, for example, and you can see where experiments are working, and you can, like, for example, all the RF stuff, the spectrum analyzers and things like that, the thermal imaging, they know kind of that can work. Certain types of cameras can work to find certain things. So it's like, how transferable is that data that you can get for something like that to an area that we know within the confines of cost that we can afford?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, for example, we talked about this the other week, there's Skinwalker ranches everywhere. You know what I mean? There's window areas everywhere where there's strange happenings that go on, and there's weirds going on. There's ghost sightings, there's poltergeist sightings, there's UFO sightings. There's a mixture of all that in one area. So how could we kind of glean the information and watching some of this kind of stuff to use the knowledge that they've got? You know what I mean? To see if you can find anything here. That's what I want to go to.
Yeah, but Joe's just put, where is it? Something's going on. It's just not lots of UFOs, but it was never to do with UFOs. That's why it's called Skinwalker Ranch, because it was to do with, originally it's to do with skinwalkers, and that side of the cryptid paranormal table.
Yes, the whole thing with that as well. I was looking at the John Alexander thing there, and they were talking about the thing they seen in the tree. So they seen something. It was sitting in a tree.
Yeah.
And it was,
yeah.
They could see the size. Yeah, it was quite a big thing in the tree. They shot it, and they heard something falling out of the tree.
Yeah, but then they couldn't find it.
This was in the snow. They could hear it falling. There was nothing there. They came back the next day, and the footprints were like a raptor's footprints, a big raptor's.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
So, what is? I mean, that's the thing. It's like, what is that all about?
But so, just because these portals, it doesn't mean to say these UFOs coming in and out. It could be something from a completely different world that we know nothing about, where all these cryptid creatures come from.
Well, I think his take on it was like, no portal as such, as in like a portal just opening up for like a technological portal. I think his take on it was more like it was like different dimensions overlapping.
Yeah, like stacks.
Overlapping.
stacked on
at
top of each other.
at a certain junction, and then obviously things can pop in and out, or things are coming through.
Yeah, Joe just put, but the most talked about is UFO alien connection. But it's not though, is it? The most talked about thing on that is the energy that comes from the ground and from the sky, and the lights across the ridge and Homestead too. There's not a lot. There's not really much mention of UFOs. It's just they have UFO activity when they start digging. When something happens, they kind of like they get a bit of. They've got there's like I think it's like 27 UFO either photos or videos in total.
Mm-hmm.
So,
see, the thing is, well, we talked about earlier on where no going back to things. So when we talked about the thermal imaging, for example, and they seen this black mass or whatever it was, a small black guinea thing moving.
Yeah.
You almost you'd say if you seen it and it was another colour, you'd probably think it was an animal. But this thing kind of jumped to here, jumped to there, jumped to there, and it kind of so. And it looked strange for the fact that it didn't have a heat signature, right? And it didn't look like an animal, right? But the thing is, as well, that's the last you heard for that. I mean, there was no other kind of follow up saying, right, we've looked back into this thing, it was going at this speed, it was this size.
Yeah.
We caught it in this. I mean, I know they probably will try and follow up, but I mean, as it get to the point, if it is something mundane, they don't talk about it again, or is it if it is something? Yeah, that's the thing. That's what I mean. Is in case when they're looking at some of this stuff and digging into it, if they find it's mundane, did they tell us?
No, they just kind of like they move on from it. But it's like I just need to say that we're not just talking about Skinwalker Ranch in general. We're talking about the TV show Secrets of the Skinwalker Ranch, and we're depicting that. So if you've not seen it, then you might not know what. I know you're going to know that we're talking about Skinwalker, but we're being specific about what we're talking about from the TV show. It's nothing to do with the books or the podcasts or any of that. It's the Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah, that's a good question. Adam just put up there.
Go on now. Do you see this program continuing on and on? If you're watching that, and then I was flicking through to see how many episodes. There's like 400 and so. I
got this season 8. I got this season 8 with Oak Island, and I gave up. Well, just tell me when you find it. Okay, it's
yeah.
A good question. I don't know, maybe it is, but I mean, in regards to it, if it gets to the point where you look like it's manufactured, or it looks like that they're genuinely trying to make it sound more interesting than it is, I mean, you've just give up watching it. But you never know, it could be. I mean, it's made by the same people, so dragging it on for season 8.
Yeah. Well, apparently they're doing a season 4, aren't they?
Yeah.
But see, if that was me, I'd be putting all the any evidence I get and putting it all together, and then carrying on from the best bit of whatever evidence you get, and then carrying and doing steps with that, rather than right, stop doing that, we'll start doing this one. Do you know what I mean?
The main kind of thing I don't like about shows like this, I mean, I didn't get me wrong, I watch it, right? But I hate the constant recapping through it. I mean, so something happens on it, so then you go to the next bit, but then they'll recap on the last bit again. So if you're watching new material in the actual episode, it probably only goes on for like 20 minutes. But apart from like the constant recapping of stuff probably takes up the next 25. So it's like it's that just use new stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. See, the one with the rockets so far, that's my favourite, because when let me find. So on the second rocket, so they bring these guys in. I know I'm jumping forward a bit, because we've not done the conducting in the Earth. But they bring a couple of guys in, don't they, with some proper decent rockets, and these go anything between 2,000 and 12,000 feet. So the second one, the first, well, they all went up and they all came back down. But on the second one, when they launched it, as a parachute opens and they're watching it come down, this light just appears in the sky and just stays there.
Yeah.
And they've got it all on camera. It's just a big bright white light, and then it just gone. As quick as it came, it just didn't move, didn't dart about, and then it's gone again. So there is UFO footage. Oh, and they checked, because you had to check with aviation about any planes or any
the tracker fan,
any flights, to make sure, obviously, if they're going to let these rockets off, they're not going to blast something out of the sky.
Yeah,
and there was nothing.
They'll check flight data and check satellite data.
There was nothing for. There's no air traffic for 20 miles, a 20-mile radius. So that's why they were stumped as to what that was. But then, same again, they didn't go anywhere from that. They just recap in the next bit, and that was it.
Yeah, just leaving it kind of hanging there.
1 second. Have I got that? No. Oh, wait. Yes, I have. Right, I've done a video clip. No, so this is. Oh, no. So it isn't that one, but when they're doing something, I can't remember what they're doing, and they thought there was like a bug on the camera, and it was just moving about a little bit, and they checked it on another camera, and that had picked it up as well.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That was the one where the ranch hands had seen it.
Yes. So I've recorded that. It's on my phone. It's not.
Because originally, when you look at it, it looks like a bug. You're like,
I thought it was a bug. When they're going on, there's something in the sky. It's a little bug on the lens.
Bug. Aye, but then when you see, they get a different camera angle, and you actually see something in the sky. Aye.
Yeah. Right. I'll play this one. I'll play this one quickly.
Yeah.
Only on for a few seconds.
The experiment with the Tesla coil out at the triangle area. So there's room to speculate that there might be some relationship between this black object that shows up in our footage and whatever was taking place at night.
So that was it. So that camera was stationary, and that black thing was moving about.
Aye, there was one as well where so that's a different one for what I was talking about there, right? But there was one where Travis was back home, and he maybe got a notification or something on his phone, so he looked at the camera, and he's basically
it's linked to his phone, so any movement.
He's got a camera out there. Looks like he's camped at, right? So he's kind of like what's it called again? It's kind of motorhome type thing. He sleeps in.
Yeah.
So he's got a camera outside that, and he was checking it. He said the weather was quite bad, and it was looked like it was lightning. So when he was back at the ranch, they were checking the time frames from it, and they said, "No, there's no lightning there." And he goes, "No, I'm sure it was." So they went back to his camera, checked it, and at that time, they could see there was a bit of dust storm and a bit of wind and stuff. But then they noticed there was a black thing in the sky, and when they checked it with another camera, it's like a small black thing streaking through the sky, going behind the clouds. It actually looks like a man or something, kind of like the size of something like that, and it streaks through quite high up through the clouds all the way down, and then it stops, and then it goes straight or something.
Oh, yeah.
Totally odd, but that's the thing, you never hear of that again.
No. And that's the interesting things where they're getting it on multiple cameras, because he said there was lightning and everything going on, and then when they look back at on his footage, on the camera where he was looking from, you can see the storm and the dust devils and all that.
Yeah.
But when you look on the other one, there's nothing, it's just a bit of cloud.
Yeah.
But they
did get a few though with the same thing though. They did get a few cameras with it.
That's what I'm saying is when they get evidence like that, they don't delve into it. They kind of like, oh, we've got that, we'll just leave it there, and we move on. It's like, no, you investigate that. You
Yeah,
need to find out what that is. Don't shrug that off and start looking for your tin cans in the ground, saying it's a UFO that crashed a million years ago. But it's true, though, isn't it?
yeah.
They need to, when they find something, then dig into it.
Yeah, and they probably are. I mean, but that's the frustrating thing. 'Cause you don't find enough about like these things that they're seeing. So that's unless they don't find nothing else for it and they don't relate it.
Unless, when they find evidence like that, they're told, right, you need to shut up about that now. We've got it, it's on camera, move on.
So I found interesting on it the guy James Keenan. So he was the guy with the magnetometer. So he would go
Yes.
around and he would get magnetic readings for the area. So it's to basically test the magnetic field to see how strong or weak it was and stuff. So he would do that through the whole area.
Yeah.
And there was a few bits that he had known the ranch. He'd done it right through the basin, and then he found like a point which was either quite a high spike, right, at
Yeah.
one point, and he found another point, and you drew a line right through these points and right through the middle of the ranch.
Oh, yeah, and it's just
So
straight, wasn't it?
when they done it at the ranch, it went right through the triangle area where they got all the activity. They got all that activity, so that's a place where they wanted to dig because they wanted to. But that could be attributed to water as well, and that's what they kind of found when they did dig at that point. But the interesting thing was they went and done like a lidar scan, but at the same time did like a magnetic field scan. And at Homestead 2, there's like just a massive bit at Homestead 2 where it's got a higher magnetic field than anywhere else.
Yeah. Well, when they did the digging, he put a metal tape measure down, didn't he? And it was being pulled in. It's
Yeah.
like there's.
My wife says it's dodgy tape.
Oh, I thought, but then if you hold the tape measures, but the metal ones, they're bending anyway.
Yeah. So my wife said dodgy tape.
That was about 9-10 foot or something.
Yeah, but the thing is though, so that magnetic field was a lot stronger at Homestead 2, where you got all the activity than anywhere else.
Yeah.
So that comes up time and time again, right? The magnetic field and then the strength of the magnetic field. So there's a place in Kentucky called the Kentucky Anomaly, which is it's got a really strong magnetic field, where like it's just off the chart, and they get a lot of weird happenings in that area as well. They get UFO reports, they get crazy stuff in caves and cryptic sightings and stuff like that. And it's interesting when you look at that and you start to see. So, for example, out with the area I stay, you get a lot of kind of crazy weird stuff. There's a high magnetic field, right? Just one bit, it's a big kind of area, and it's slap bang there, and that's where you get a lot of kind of the strange stuff happening. You look at North Yorkshire with Pollock Sinclair, off the coast, there's a magnetic anomaly as well. So these things are kind of darted about. I mean, obviously there's reasons for them. It's sometimes always is coupled at the same time with paranormal or UFO activity and things like that as well for some reason. Don't know why.
Yeah, but that was one of the last things that they did on season 2. Was Travis got a chart out and was pointing out where all these meteor strikes have hit Earth over however many million years.
Yeah.
And in the center of each strike, there's some sort of energy pulse going on. Because did you see the bit where they did the ground conducting? They brought in a company called Juniper. Can't read me on writing now. Juniper Unmanned, where they was putting lights and that in the ground, connecting the battery to it, and it was all lighting up.
I'm sure you can do that. You can do that.
Tesla coils, didn't they?
Yeah.
And this is what
Tesla
they got.
coils, and the connected, obviously. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So, and it was going because they were getting the readings that the floor was acting like a transformer.
Yeah.
And as soon as they turned these coils on, it was the ground that was giving them the power and the energy, and was going from low to high, which it shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, they were saying it was like really conductive or like energy pulsing through it.
Yeah. But then, how do we know that they've not got a generator around the back of the camera with it all plugged in? You know what?
Oh, plug it in, plug it in.
Yeah.
No. Yeah,
We
one,
should
one
have
thing,
all been,
well, I'll tell you one thing that did amuse me, right, is where they had the guys doing the lasers. So when the guys doing the lasers, and they were lasering like the Mesa and stuff like that, lasering up.
oh,
And
yeah.
they built this platform, right? They built this platform, and the guys have got the lasers on the platform. And Travis, I was sitting with my son, and he's only 11, and we're sitting
Yeah.
watching it, right? And I've watched it before, I was watching it again. And he's on the walkie-talkie, right? To the guy, right, point it here, point it there. And he's like, my son says, why is he talking to the guy in the walkie-talkie when he's just like behind him? Like, you just talk to him.
Yeah.
It's a show.
Yeah. Well, that's what it is, isn't it? Adam's just put, sorry, got one from Nelly that we missed. Sorry about that, Nelly. Do you believe the old owner of the ranch that he shot 3 greys and sent some samples to be tested from where he allegedly hit them, and the sample came back unknown, but this has since disappeared?
I've never heard of that.
See, I thought that one was Stardust Ranch. With
Or Bradshaw.
no, it's Stardust. I'll get you the guy's name in a minute. He died, I think it was last year. Robert. 1 second. I should have got this ready.
Quickly, Adam will just jump on to. Adam's got a question there about a 24-hour camera on the ranch. They did have one. You could go into their website and you could go watch different cameras. I'm not sure if it's still there now, but you could probably go and look and see if it is. But at one point, you could actually go and just watch the cameras. They were on 24 hours.
Yeah, right.
So I'm not sure if they're still on now or you can do it now, but there was a point in time where at the start of the show, it was on first season, you could go on and you could just watch bits in the ranch and stuff like that. Different cameras.
John Edmonds, it was. So John Edmonds was Stardust, and that was the one where he beheaded a grey, put it in the freezer, he sent it away, then apparently it went missing. But I remember listening to a podcast with him on it, and he said it's not really true. It did come back, but it's in a secret location. I'm not disclosing where that is. The people that need to know. But then, how do you know he's telling the truth? Unless, like I've always said, unless you're there, you're not going to know, are you? You're not going to know 100% what's going on.
The head.
But yeah, that John Edmonds said that no matter where he was in the house, he was never more than 8 foot away from a weapon. So if he ever, because he used to turn up in the middle of the night, I'd be sat there watching TV, and you'd just see him coming through in the summer house. So yeah, said there's a bat or a sword or machete or something, always within 8 foot of where he was going to be.
I've never actually read much into Stardust Ranch.
I think Stardust Ranch is. There's a lot. I'm trying to think of the word. There's a lot more going on that than Skinwalker. Because like what they say in Skinwalker, it was named after the Skinwalker from the Utes and the Navajo tribes. They were the ones that witnessed the Skinwalkers that were there. So that's where it gets its name from. But it doesn't seem to be a lot going on. Rick put in the chat, has Steve Mera ever said anything that's gone on there? But I remember when I interviewed Andrew Collins, he said he'd been out there. He was there for a couple of weeks. He said there's little bits and pieces that went on, nothing major, but it was like 2-3 days before anything actually happened.
Yeah.
So I suppose if there's going to be periods, dry periods, isn't there, where you got nothing going on. So does it only happen now and again? Do you have to do something to get it all kicking off?
That's the thing. I mean, that's the thing. Knowing that, what actually does kick it off and all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
what?
Because the other one, they was giving coordinates, weren't they, from
Yeah.
Sherman's.
So the
And it
Sherman,
took him to that rock, and it said one place where you don't dig is at this location, and there's a rock covering it, and then they push a rock over, and it looked like it had like cave drawings, but it looked like three
I
birds
don't think
drawn on the
that
back.
was. I don't think that was at all, because like, so that was the Shermans. That was actually Ryan Skinner had spoke to the Shermans.
Yes, yeah.
And they said that don't dig in this location, and gave them coordinates, and the coordinates was a big massive rock. So they moved the rock, and under the rock they were saying they could see like a petroglyph, like a warbird or something.
I just think it's where it was pressed on the
clean
ground.
mud off it. That's no there. Right? But there was nothing there. They couldn't find anything. But that's the kind of thing. It was like trying to see. Like, that was. They were saying they could see like a bird in it, but there was still half of it was caked in mud. So like, you need to clean the rest of the mud off that.
Yeah.
Just jump to conclusion straight away. But they didn't find nothing there anyway. Then they moved on to something else.
Yeah.
After that, that's when they dug the hole at the triangle, and it was like we could see the water. The water. It was like basically a river underwater.
Yeah, well, that's what they thought there was anyway, an underground river, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've never been so don't know. But
then that's what I think as well, though. Is that because obviously you get ley lines, right? When you go dousing, you can douse for like water as well, and you can douse for like ley lines and stuff like that. So like, is that underground, as in like rivers and stuff like that? Is that create some type of energy? Because that
apparently it does.
What they're saying. So in that part, like was saying where when that guy was doing the magnetometer readings, and he said that there's a water, must be like an underground water feature or a void flowing from here to here right through the ranch, right? And it was right through the triangle area where you get this type of all the activity happening. So you get that obviously in ley lines and all that kind of stuff as well, and people dousing and everything. So is that a feature in it? I mean, is that part and parcel in what's kind of something to do with what's causing some of this?
Yeah. But when Maria Wheatley was on, and she was saying that when you can douse for water, but you can have good and bad energies depending on which way. I'm sure she said depending on which way the water's flowing. I can't. Without watching it back, I'm not 100%. I might be wrong on that, but I'm sure that's what she said. So there's all these different. Because she said she can go somewhere and pick up on what type of energy it is before she does the dowsing.
Yeah.
So, but if you've got underground water and caves and caverns, then you're going to have big hollows under the earth, aren't you? So that's going to be a different type of energy than if it's solid. I'd have thought.
Yeah, totally. I mean, so they found the water there anyway. And then so that's kind of where it's went. Obviously, they've dug there, and found the water. I mean, but apart from that, I mean, it's still, I don't know, it's still kind of out there with the triangle area. I mean, that's the area where they focus on quite a lot of the time, a mile above the ranch.
Yeah.
That's where they get the focus point.
Yeah. But then they said, going back to the rockets, when they did the 5th rocket, I think that was the one at night, wasn't it? That was the last one.
Yeah.
When they sent it off, it went right up into the cloud, and they thought it had gone. It was like they couldn't see it for ages. And then there's a blast of lightning as it went up into the cloud. But because it's got all these different sensors and that in it, it's possible that they could have caused an electric reaction in the cloud. But the other thing that they were saying, doesn't matter where they go or what they do, these constant energy spikes everywhere on the ranch, regardless of whether they're doing an experiment or research or just walking about checking stuff out.
Yeah. I find that strange, because if they've, that's the main thing. It's like always go back to is when they've got that area kind of sussed out, because they're reading it all the time in their spectrum analyzers and stuff, right? So and they know the background kind of RF radiation that's there. But this thing happens, like, it's now and again on the ranch where it blasts everything out, and it's like something the signal either coming in or going out. That's almost what it's like. It's like a signal coming in or going out, either and it's coming from above or coming from below, or sometimes it's transient. And that's the kind of mad thing. It's like it's out with normal background RAF radiation stuff.
Yeah. Well, should we end it on the last experiment that they did on season 2? So that was when they went in Fugel's helicopter. So his brother's a pilot, isn't he? I can't remember his first name. So he was spiraling round, but he was started at a higher altitude and then getting lower.
Yeah.
And as he's got to a certain point, one of the instruments says it started bleeping, and it was showing that it was 40 foot from the ground.
Yeah, so his altimeter said that he was.
Yeah,
he was
I can't remember the name.
40 foot from the ground or something like that, or he was close to the ground, but he wasn't. He was still maybe, like, say, 1,000 feet up or whatever. So I think they attributed that to that, and it kept happening. It hadn't happened anywhere else before, but they attributed it to be either there was something underneath them.
Yeah, that they couldn't see, but they was picking it up on radar, though, weren't they?
Yeah.
They could see it on
I think
radar.
we got a picture of something as well further on. I think in the third season you see like a picture of what was underneath the helicopter. It's like some kind of faint black thing, but it was almost
similar
like
to what we've seen before.
Yeah, there was something under the helicopter, and that's why they kept the altimeter kept going off, saying they were too close to the ground, but it was actually something under them, about like 20, 30 feet away or something.
Yeah, because they were like trying to lean out and have a look, and there's like nothing on there. And they went back to look at all the data from the radar and Eric's magical kingdom, and it was showing that there was something directly underneath him as they're going round, but nobody could see it.
Yeah.
See, that's scary on its own, because the pilot was like, "This has never happened before."
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to be here now. I just want to go and land it. Because they was trying to get at the 5,000 foot, weren't they, and stay at that, because that's where they're getting all. Apparently, that's where all these energy spikes are coming from, and they reckon it was something trying to stop them to get to that 5,000 foot.
Yeah. But it's interesting because it was like right underneath them. It was almost like it was something tracking them underneath, and it was sensing it.
Yeah, and they all started feeling uncomfortable with it as well, didn't they?
Dragon freaking out.
Yeah, he's like, at least they're not digging.
At least they're not digging today.
But even he was like, "Yeah, we need to start digging because we're not going to get anywhere just by talking about it."
Dragon's like, "I'm not going to get a show on anywhere. I'm not going to go like Oak Island, start digging."
Yeah.
No,
but then
start
they
digging.
Comes in with the JCB, doesn't he? And his face is
Oak Island Mark II. Start digging.
Yeah, looking for the gold. But that's pretty much everything in season 2, isn't it?
Aye. Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on it all? From like the beginning of season 1 to the end of season 2?
I don't know, because there's loads in the show I quite like. And I mean there's quite a lot that I find really interesting. There's some stuff in it I'm just thinking, I don't think they mean to sometimes be to exaggerate stuff. I don't think it's meant. I just think because they're maybe there that they're highlighting another kind of strange thing that happens, which maybe sometimes isn't that strange. But I do find there is always strange things happening. I do find there experiments to find stuff, and I think there's something there. I mean, with way the stuff went on the ranch, you always need to couple it with what's found in the past. You know what I mean? So regardless of you can't just look at season 1 and season 2 without thinking about the Shermans, without thinking about OSAP, without thinking about Bass, without thinking about prior to that in the whole area. So you do believe, I kind of do believe there's something there. I just get to the point where it's like the show could be shortened down a wee bit and you could get to the point a bit more. You know what I mean? But you make the show up. I mean, I can understand that. But one thing I used to comment on the show was I didn't like the kind of over dramatising it anything.
Oh, yeah.
So
When
if
they're
it's
having
like,
the
maybe something
meeting.
happening, you get like a drum beat and it's like zooming into somebody's face and things like that.
Yeah.
I think that's total bull.
Yeah, they don't need to do that.
When Unidentified came out, I'm going off on a tangent here, but when that Unidentified came out with Lou Elizondo and Tom Long, that was well made, totally well made. It wasn't over dramatised. It was like quite factual, you know what I mean, in regards to like making it a documentary type thing. But when you look at Skinwalker Ranch, and I mean, it's a show, and it does kind of jump about a bit, and it does over dramatise a wee bit. You know what I mean? But I do think there's something there, and I do think the experiments they're doing are probably kind of worthwhile, and I think you can take something for that. And that's what you need to think about this. I mean, look at it as a kind of thing you can maybe take something for it.
But I just think
What
now
do you think?
I think they're just getting the remembrance of everything that has gone on in the past. Because the amount of stuff that Bigelow must have done with the money that he had to do it, and the different agencies and government and everyone that he had going in working with him and or for him.
Yeah.
I think they killed a lot of the activity that was going on.
They had a 50 strong team that were working on it. And that's not just like working on the ranch, but they had 50 people working in OSAP.
Yeah.
And quite a lot to do with the ranch. But that's, you can imagine there was maybe 10 people building up like the data for all the kind of sightings and all that kind of stuff. You have other people doing X, Y, and Z. So but there's loads of stuff happening. So if you've no looked into all the stuff Skinwalker Ranch, obviously the show's pretty good. Recommend the books, which is Hunt for the Skinwalker, Skinwalkers at the Pentagon, Jeremy Corbell's film as well, quite good. What's that, Hunt for the Skinwalker? That's Hunt for the Skinwalker. That isn't it?
Yeah, Hunt for the Skinwalker. Yeah, the George and that one.
The book isn't true. Joe's saying.
Yeah. I don't know. She's been watching some on YouTube, and apparently the George and that book, some of the people that he'd put in that said this had happened and that had happened, they didn't even know anything about it. But we don't know. But I think that either Bigelow has either got loads and loads of evidence and he's keeping it all to himself, or they couldn't find anything or discover what it was that was causing it. So that's why they're not saying anything.
So Joe said, the Sherman said they saw no UFO. They did see orbs though.
Yeah.
Definitely seen orbs and stuff like that though. And I think
even because that's why they had a lot of activity. That's why they sold it.
When I was talking about the one before the nephew scene, when the thing opened up, what the scene come out of that wasn't really a UFO. It was like a peach type shape, a peach type colour thing. It came out. It didn't say like a UFO nuts and bolts. So no, I don't think. I've never really heard a story of Sherman saying they've seen a nuts and bolts UFO.
But I know they had a lot of, because their main thing was like the stuff with the cattle getting killed and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't UFOs. It was just odd goings on around there, and they don't know what was causing it.
They didn't know about it until the book came out. Who told you?
But yeah, so a lot of the stuff with the Shermans, like I said before, wasn't about UFOs. It was just about what was going on the ranch with the bipedal dog-like creatures, the orbs, all the different energy shifts.
Well, that's the thing. For what Joe's saying there, obviously, that they didn't know about it until the book came out and stuff. Like the Sherman said that. But when you look at the OSAP stuff and the past stuff, reading Skinwalkers at the Pentagon, there's not even a lot of stories in that talk about nuts and bolts and or even orbs and stuff like that they've seen. They're not really they kind of talk reference about what happened in the past. I mean, so no, it's I'd like to see the data they got. I'd like to see the evidence, and I know I get what you're saying. I mean, so it's a lot of it's still referring back to the older scary stories and stuff. Stuff that happened, obviously. I mean,
right, here we go. Last question. Do you think Nick Pope and Yvette Fielding should go in and sort it out once and for all? Let's come out. That'd be an amazing show, no matter where they went.
Mary loves Dick.
Yeah. But I don't know, that'd be good. That'd be funny. It'd just be her running around screaming while Nick Pope goes on about all these different elements and how UFOs fly. That'd be it, wouldn't it, really? But I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but I do think that they've done the overkill on it now, and that's why there's not as much activity.
But
It makes sense.
Go back to what
if there's anything there in the first place.
I go back to what I said though. It's good for honing some information on what they're looking at and how they're finding things, if they find things.
Yeah, the scientific way.
To use that information on the places where we know has got activity here.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what they should do with the experiments that they're doing there. Should be moved into different places where there is stuff going on to see if they pick anything up.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Could we repeat them? That's what I'm talking about. So if it's like at a cost where it's no that expensive, could it be repeatable?
Yeah.
For areas that we know.
Yeah. Umberman's put, why would the phenomena care about the overkill? Because if they're intelligent beings, they might have gone there. I don't know, I'm just guessing. They could have gone there to do a specific thing, whether it was they needed like the energy for something or to recharge or whatever it is they wanted to use it for, and they've done that. They've got what they needed, so they're not having to go back as much. If there is a portal, the portal could have moved. The vortex could have gone somewhere else. They're not bothered about what's going on. It's just there's that many people going there. It's like, well, we're going to go somewhere else because it's not happening here anymore.
Thing is though, I mean, the thing is though, what I do find interesting is where, regardless of what's been seen in the ranch or the bass or whatever else, like there is something there in the Uinta Basin where people in the area have seen things and reported things and all that.
Yeah.
It's always round like a kind of ancient burial mounds and things like that. I mean, stuff like that crops up time and time again. Ley lines, ancient burial mounds, and then it's linked into a lot of other different phenomena. And it happens everywhere across the world. I mean, not just Skinwalker Ranch. Skinwalker Ranch is highlighted because people have studied it. There's loads of other places where you could study it, probably find the same thing. So it's regardless of what they do to kind of poke the hornet's nest, all that kind of stuff. As I say, it's like these things.
It's like
these things sometimes run in time cycles as well, where you get flaps that happen in certain places with UFO flaps or paranormal flaps and things like that. So it's
then you've got. I was just going to say you've got Huska Castle in Czech Republic, where they've had to fill it in with concrete because apparently it's a gateway to hell, and there's all these different things getting through it. And they'd lowered people in there. They'd lowered like prisoners in there, like 30-year-old. They pulled them out, and they've like aged about 30 years, and they've only been down there 2 minutes. So, Huska Castle. Sorry, I thought I just got an email. I'm sure it's in the Czech Republic. Houska, I think it is. And it's like there's just stuff been going on there forever. It doesn't even look like a castle. It looks like a really badly built block of flats, prison. But so, like you're saying, there's stuff all around the world where these things going on. It's just some are more well known than others. So yeah, I'm just checking through the.
Are you both going to look into anything else to put on here, or if you talk to somebody else?
Oh no, that's for us, I think.
Put on here, as in tonight, or another night.
I think in the future, I'll be going to bed soon. Shattered. I've not even had a drink. But yeah, I just think that
Yeah,
it's been
definitely.
yeah, definitely up for it. There's but I do think that there's been that much human activity at Skinwalker that the phenomena has died down a bit because of it all. Maybe the phenomena doesn't want to know, doesn't want us to know what it actually is.
Probably. I think though I mean, I think obviously when you see the melting pot, all that kind of stuff coming together,
Yeah.
and then it's just, I think it's too hard to understand. I mean, but in regards to the areas that we can actually access, I think there's mileage there.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. We're done. Are you done, Chris? Or have you got anything else?
Fine, done. I'm up here.
No. Right. So we've got next week to watch 38 episodes before Friday.
So
That's the thing. There's more episodes.
Season 8.
Yeah, there's more episodes per season.
Oak Island.
Yeah. We'll just us two sat here watching on TV. It'd be easier, won't it? Well, this week they didn't find anything, believe it or not. They found some mud and some rotting wood.
Rocks,
that was it.
Rocks.
Yeah.
Actually, that was the Oak Island. They kept repeating stuff as well, going through the exact same thing. The format of the show's the same. Totally the same. We need to get an investigation done at the place up here, the strange place up here.
Oh yeah. You gotta do it live, or you gonna video any of it?
No, I mean, I'm going to do an overnight there anyway.
Yeah,
definitely. And there's a few other places. I'm going to do some up in Ben McDo with the Grey Man. There's loads of different places in there. And then obviously I've got to do a bit up here, my area. There's a lot of kind of
Oh, and I'll need to talk to you, Chris, as well, in the week about Rendlesham.
Yeah,
because we can go, and I can go sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll sort that out.
Got the van.
Yes. Well, yeah. So yeah, it's all good anyway. So that's it. Next Wednesday, I am doing the second part of interview with Costa McCrease about CE5 and ETs and everything else that goes with it. Then we're back on Friday, both at 8:00. And for those that don't know, I'll just quickly tell you, the two channels that I've got are both going to be on here. So rather than having two separate ones, so Fridays are going to be the 12th Dimension. Wednesdays, other than the two that I've already pre-booked, is going to be for Flying Solo, but it's not going to be every Wednesday. And then, because then that gives me, once we get into summer, I can go out doing investigations on a Friday, and I don't have to rush back because I'm not getting up at stupid o'clock in the morning. So yeah, 12th Dimension Fridays after these next two Wednesdays, and Flying Solo on the Wednesday, and that's it. So, right, are we done?
Yeah. Thanks very much for having me, and thanks very much for being in the chat. Questions, listening.
Yeah, get your questions ready for next week, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot more, and we're going to have a lot more unanswered questions from the show, just from us. But I was going to say, if any of you guys watching now get a chance to watch it, then do that. Just watch season 3 or as much of it as you can, and then you might have a bit more knowing of what we're talking about.
Good thing to listen to as well. The audio book for Skinwalkers at the Pentagon is out. It never used to be in audio. It's on audio now, and it goes through What happened between Nids, Vass, Osaf?
Yeah. I think that's one I downloaded.
Yeah.
But
Very good.
Yeah.
It's worth listening to.
Cool. So have a great weekend, everyone. And we will see you. Well, I'll see you on Wednesday, and me and Chris will see you next Friday. So take care. And sorry, I've just got to find the outro. Don't want to put the wrong one on again. Have a great weekend and speak to you soon. Good
Cheers,
night, everyone.
Andy. Cheers, folks.
Cheers, Chris. See you later.
Cheers.